Midsommar is the second film from director Ari Aster, who made waves in the world of cinema last year with his debut effort Hereditary. I think any fans of Aster's first will also appreciate this, as while this may not be quite as good as Hereditary, Midsommar is definitely in the same league. They are very similar in a lot of ways, both stylistically and thematically. Both deal with extreme depictions of grief after a tragedy and creepy cults. The look of Hereditary was certainly one of its strong suits, and the same is true for Midsommar. Pavel Pogorzelski, the cinematographer, returned to work with Aster again, and the camera work is comparable. There are a lot of smooth lateral movements, and there's plenty of beautiful imagery and scenery. A few cinematic tricks like multiple exposures are utilized, but always in a way that serves the story or characters, and not just for their own sake. Some of my favorite parts were the extended sequences depicting a hallucinogenic state. The effects are much more tasteful and realistic than most trippy scenes in movies. The editing was also interesting, and just like in Hereditary, there are match cuts and several creative striking transitions. The acting was all solid, while perhaps lacking a clear standout performance like Toni Collette in Aster's first. The acting here is a bit more subtle, and Florence Pugh is fantastic in the lead role. The characters are well written, and they feel distinct and real. Midsommar is quite long at almost 2.5 hours, but the pacing is relatively middle of the road. It's not a fast-paced film, but not particularly slow either. The plot sort of plays out how you would expect it to in the broad strokes, but the way things happen is surprising and shocking enough to keep you interested. Tonally, Midsommar feels a lot like Hereditary. Both are dark, but combine that with humor, sometimes even in the same scene. Both are weird, but Midsommar takes the strangeness to a new level, as well as being pretty violent and gruesome. I definitely recommend this to anyone who liked Hereditary, but avoid this if you have a weak stomach or are averse to artsiness. Anyone who just wants a cheap scare should look elsewhere. I give Midsommar an 8.5 out of 10. Midsommar is getting a good critical reception with an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 73 on Metacritic. Unsurprisingly though, it has a rather poor cinema score with only a C+, which is pretty standard for artsy horror, as Hereditary got an even worse score at D+. That'll be it for this review. Please don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching.